Hi, my name is Andrew Leland Rogers, and you're watching The Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press today. I am so happy to be joined by Andrew Leland Rogers. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Chloe?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I'm so excited to chat with you about your work in the Gringo Hunters on Netflix. But to start things off, I know that you were born in New York City, but raised in Mexico City. So, how have your exposure to the different countries and cultures shaped you and your identity as a person, but also as an artist?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I think I think it goes hand in hand, my identity as a person and as an artist. And I come from a completely bicultural background. As you mentioned, my mom is from Mexico and my dad is from the US. He's originally from this little town called Canadian, Texas, where there's, I think, like 1,500 people in total. So I have two sides that sort of have sort of formed who I am today. And it's cool because every time I play both American and Mexican characters. And when I play Mexican characters, I try to approach them from a point of view that's maybe a little more American. And when I play an American, I try to approach it from a side that's more Mexican. So that way I have like sort of another understanding of who the character might be.
Bit of a different duality, but that's kind of nice because it lends itself well to, I'm sure, things like character study and you really getting into the mind of different perspectives and different layers in your roles that you play. Can you tell me about the initial spark that made you want to pursue a full-time career in the arts?
Um, well, I used to work in Wall Street on the stock exchange. I was a reporter there. I reported like stock news back in like 2010, I think. No, 2011, because yeah, around 2011, 2012. And my boss at the time, he told me, "Hey, maybe you should take like some classes to sort of be able to be better on camera and sort of, I don't know, learn scripts faster, all these like skills that actors usually train for." And I said, yeah. So I looked at several schools. I ended up going to Lee Strasberg, and it was great because my boss at the time, he paid for a lot of my tuition, which I'm very thankful for. And I discovered a passion there. I thought I was going in to like hone in on a skill set that I could use in my job as a suit, and it turned out to be a life-changing experience.
Were you quite creative growing up? Did you grow up in a kind of creative household, or was it the opposite for you?
I was. I'm not a Nepo baby though, but I do. My parents are very open. Me pursuing arts. I always used to love film. My dad sort of always wanted to be a filmmaker. So he's a hardcore cinephile. And I would watch movies that I'm sure I wasn't supposed to be watching at a very early age. I remember my first camera I got I was maybe like 12 or 13, and one of those mini DV cameras, which I still have. And I used to film everything. I used to really want to be a director. But then like so I was like, no, maybe I'll like be a producer. And then I just ended up being an actor. I write as well, and I do direct from time to time, but acting sort of just ended up being what life sort of put in my path.
We will talk about some of your roles behind the scenes in just a moment, but not including the Gringo Hunters. What is a project that has been the most pivotal in your career so far and why?
Wow. Good questions. I think well, this movie, Buen Salvaje, which translates to Good Savage, and this other movie that I'm releasing in October here in Mexico that's called A History of Love and War. Those three projects, which just happened to come out at the exact same time, the same year, have been, I think, the most important ones for different reasons. I mean, we'll talk about Gringo Hunters right now, but Good Savage was the first film that I co-wrote with someone. We did it during COVID. We had no money. We had no expectation. Obviously, it took us 5 years to release the film. But it has a very special place in my heart because it's about movie making. It's very personal. I did it with all my friends at a friend's ranch. So that was very nice. And the other one, History of Love and War, I play a despicable character, um, who's this like modern Mexican oligarch that we call here Mi Reyes, which literally translates to my kings. And it's like these like preppy, sort of very privileged, um, upper class bourgeois that sort of think they control a lot of what happens in Mexico. And it was a grueling process. It was a movie 10 years in the making. I gained about 40 pounds for it, like 35 pounds. I almost died several times during the movie. So yeah, that one that one was particularly hard. Both directed by the same director, Santiago Moar. Um, so yeah, it just happens to be that this year, all of them are being released at the same time, which is kind of awesome.
It's also so nice to have like frequent collaborators who you know you kind of work well with. I'm
Yeah.
sad to hear that you said it took a bit of a toll on you, this other project that's coming out, but I guess it's like a little method and you really, embodying the this new character.
Yeah, I mean, it was great because I mean, the director, who's a frequent collaborator of mine, is one of my best friends now. And even during, like, there was so many crises happening during the whole production of the film that there was even a week that we didn't talk. We got upset with each other for, I don't know, I did something diva-ish probably. And he was just like, no, I'm going to speak to you through an assistant. So we spoke via an assistant for a week. And I mean, he's my best friend. We obviously, after a week, we were like, okay, let's settle our differences. But yeah, it was one of those projects. And the movie, I think, is actually pretty fantastic. So um, I think it'll come out in the US sometime at the end of the year, October, November, around there. I'll keep you posted.
I know distribution is always like a bit of a complicated thing, like who has the
Mhm.
rights and where it goes. But it's nice to know that you patch things up between the two of you after a week. You're like, I
We're good
think
now. We're
we
good
should
now.
start talking again and get this done. But you are also a filmmaker yourself. You mentioned you write, you're producer, director sometimes. So what are you inspired by in the stories that you want to tell?
I think what's most important to me is sort of showing realities, stories, or characters that aren't normally shown. Like I'm always fascinated by these films or series. I watch more films and series, but I watch both of them. In which you see characters that are living these circumstances that are sort of once in a lifetime things. So, especially in my writing, I'm very much influenced in these sort of stories that take a place over like a day or a couple of hours or real time maybe. Because I always find it fascinating that through a movie or through a lens you can like it's sort of like a photograph of like a moment in time. And I mean a lot of movies that are like I mean like After Hours, like Scorsese's After Hours or um what other I saw this other one day or Run Lola Run or all these movies that are sort of sequential in like a small period. Naked by Mike Lee, I mean, or Amores Perros even by Iñárritu, that sort of one sort of moment told in different perspectives, but how that moment shapes everyone. Um, so yeah, that's always something that I found fascinating in my writing, and yeah, that directing eventually that's what I want to focus on.
You co-wrote and starred in an upcoming short film, Bump. What can you share about that one?
That one, that was a very personal project that I did in New York with a couple of friends at a friend's cabin in upstate. Um, I had some rolls of film, and I rented a camera and literally went up there to do just an experiment. I feel shorts are always like a very good form to explore either something you want to explore tonally or or character wise or like a proof of concept. So that one I wanted to like sort of work on showing the moments that aren't necessarily the dramatic moments that we're used to seeing, but either the pre or the aftermath of something. So that you as a viewer can sort of fill in the gaps of what events are taking place. And it's a story about addiction and fatherhood and sort of that crossways of learning how to sort of cope with the emotions of becoming a dad, but also of being addicted to a drug. So it's a light-hearted family film.
I can tell,
Yeah.
but it's nice to like kind of create things that challenge the viewers as well. And something that you've said before that I really love is you said your passions are the ethereal and uncanny sides of film and human nature, which is kind of what you discussed earlier, very like emotionally driven and thought-provoking. So I hope that you continue to get to kind of exercise this other muscle, in terms of filmmaking. We will get into the Gringo Hunters now, where we are discussing spoilers. So, a warning for all those watching this interview. You,
Spoilers.
big spoilers. You star as Archie or Liam Taylor. Can you share some details about your audition process and what drew you to your character and the overall story?
It was interesting because I remember I was actually in New York filming the short I was talking about, and my agent here in Mexico sent me an audition, and I just got a message that he said like it's really weird how on point this character is like to you, and like dot dot dot, and I was like okay, so I check it, and sure enough, like I was like there was a lot of similarities between Archie and myself, both like how we looked or like being like Mexican redheads, having this like American name, but like identifying also more with being a Mexican, sort of having this cross dual cultural um sort of identity. And and yeah, I got that in New York, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm not flying in until I think Friday, and they wanted to see me on a Thursday. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it because I mean, I'm not going to be there. And they're like, no worries. We'll do it on Saturday. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I went in, I did the audition, and then I didn't hear anything for like 2 months. And then 2 months later, they come back and they're like, oh, we want to see you now for a callback. And I didn't know this at the time, but Adrian Grunberg, the showrunner, and another of the producers, Rob Cubero, who were there, they had a completely different idea of who Archie was supposed to be. Like they had imagined someone else, I guess. But they told me like after that callback, we were like, it's got to be him. So it was pretty crazy because for me in my mind, I was like, I mean, all actors were always like, oh, this is my role, even if you're like you have nothing in common with the character you're supposed to play. But this one, I just knew. Um, and yeah, and then I was at the Rotterdam Film Festival presenting this movie, the one I almost died, and I got news that I had gotten the part and that I had to start in like a week. Like I had to start all the police training. So I literally jumped off the plane from Rotterdam, and the next day I had like a table read and all these things that are done in productions. Um, and I sort of approached Archie in a different way that I haven't approached my previous characters because since it was so similar to like how I would react, how I would do things, how sort of I don't know that I mean the things that I worked on the most were the tactical training, the accent, because he's from Tijuana, which is a very different accent than the one I have here in Mexico, or in Spanish, I mean. So I focus more on like the technical aspects of the character preparation, but the inner sort of life of Archie, I felt was very much my own, I feel. So I just went with it.
It's so interesting to know that that was going to be one of my questions is that I think in the show it said that Archie was born in the US but grew up in Mexico, which kind of mirrors your in real life kind of childhood. So the fact that that was already written into the character, although you said they might have had something slightly different in mind, but they couldn't say no to you after your audition. You mentioned the technical side. Can you share some insights into maybe on the exterior, like Archie's key physical and personality traits that you focused on, including where those similarities were to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because I'm 6'3" and like 90 kilos. So I'm a big guy. Um very big in Mexico, like they're like I'm not the norm here. I bump into like a lot of roofs and stuff. And the whole thing also of this unit of the actual Gringo Hunters is sort of this ability they have to sort of go under the radar and sort of hide themselves to be able to like catch these fugitives without being noticed, which was hard for me because I stick out like a sore thumb. And so it was very interesting to try and like make myself smaller. There's also this, I mean, position that people usually keep the gun close to their chest so they can sort of take it out quickly, but not be in any danger. Um, and I looked ridiculous like that because I'm so big that I looked like sort of, so I had to learn to sort of like change my body so I would look cool, not cool, but like not look like a T-Rex and but sort of still keep that like tactical position. So so yeah, that was a challenge, but it was so fun. I mean, anytime it's like playing cops and robbers. I mean, we're all kids again and I mean a lot of regulations have changed since what happened on that movie on Rust with Alec Baldwin and all that, I mean, at least in Mexico, there's no more blanks. They don't have blanks. It's like just a little like tank, and everything is done in VFX. I mean, you're still supposed to exercise caution, of course, but it's a lot more fun when you know that like you probably like no one can get hurt. Um, and we're such kids, like all the cast. That it was sometimes hard for like everyone to get us to concentrate because we were just having fun, like playing with the guns and stuff. It's so silly, but it's part of the things that make an experience that was so long. I mean, we filmed for like 7 months, I think 6 or 7 months, in the same like with the same people. You have to like sort of invent these things to make everything much more fun. And the cast is amazing. Like all of us were like instantly, we just fell in love with each other all at the same time. It was really nice.
You obviously have to do something to pass the time, and we'll chat about that cast relationship later on. But I thought it was very endearing that Archie knew about star signs, as he correctly guesses that Emma is a Scorpio. So I don't know like what he does in his spare time, or like, did you kind of think about that?
I mean, I guess he is into astrology a little bit. But I mean, I think Archie also likes to. I mean, he's I think very much a foodie. Tijuana is an amazing gastronomical city. Caesar salad was invented in Tijuana. I don't know if you knew this. But I mean, and you have like so many amazing like fish tacos that were also like, I mean, not invented there, but the like traditional fish taco that we know around the world was made there in Baja as well. The wine country, like all the Valle de Guadalupe, is incredible. Like some of the best wines I've tried in my whole life. So I feel like Archie lives there and like is very much into like finding the best tacos or like finding the best like date spot to like have some drinks. He's like a fun guy who like enjoys his job, but also enjoys living. He's also like a former addict, so all that stuff also weighs on him. So there has to be like some sort of like release to like not be like, I don't know, so uptight with himself and not go back to that dark past, but also be able to like just have fun and enjoy himself, I think.
So there is Archie's own kind of dark past, but also throughout the season, we learn that his adopted parents were not his biological parents. His mother was a drug addict who died when he was 11. He left home at age 15. That's when he started like taking substances himself. So how did this upbringing and childhood shape who he is in present day?
Um, well, I think I mean, it formed him completely. I mean, especially, I mean, being able to enter the police unit as sort of um, this like saving sort of life moment that he sees that there's another path he can take, that he doesn't have to go down the road that so many of the people that he either used with or that he grew up with, that he's seen them sort of go down that path. There's an episode, I don't know if it's episode 9 or 10 or that we go back to like visit this like sort of paternal figure from my past who was a drug dealer. So that's sort of like how Archie grew up. And when Temo sort of brings him in as an informant, it brings light into his life. And that's sort of the escape um, that Archie goes to. And I mean, we're having spoilers, right? There is a point that he relapses and that sort of threatens his complete existence. Um, but then, well, we don't know yet. We don't know if he's back at the end or not, but at least he knows that was a mistake and that his actual life's work belongs in the unit.
So that was kind of perfect segue to my next question about, his past. So we know he started as an informant before joining the police force. Like, do you think that he needed a lot of convincing to choose this career path, with the international liaison unit, with the police, or did he willingly kind of say, I really need to get out of this cycle?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think there was definitely the option given to him that he can sort of escape and that can be like his way out. But obviously, as with any sort of addiction, there's always resistance. There's always going back and forth. But eventually, the thing about law enforcement and justice when it's done properly, I think, is that it actually does give you some sort of purpose, like catching criminals and bringing like people who have done bad things to justice gives you some sort of meaning that you don't get from dealing drugs or from just living sort of this like freeloader life that Archie was living before that. So definitely, I think at the end of the day, what wins out is that sort of passion that grew in Archie to sort of try and become a better person.
And it's not an easy job. Like it's very dangerous. They take a lot of judgment and criticism from the community as well. How long do you think he's been a member of the International Liaison Unit?
I mean, I know that Beto is the newest member before Camila comes in. Um, but Archie is definitely next in line after Beto. O sea, Gloria, Cri, and Nico have been there a very long time. I would assume I've been there maybe like 5, 6 years, maybe. And Beto's been there like three, maybe 3 or 4. So, I mean, this is all because we never got that sort of
Yeah, it's not canon. It's just kind of assuming. I think that's a fair assessment though, because
the fair
I
assessment because
spoke with Myra and like with Gloria and Nico, they were there like around 10 years because there's a photo in Tamo's office. So you can kind
and
of
I'm
pick
not
that timeline and then like kind of fill in the blanks.
yeah. Actually, no, you know what? I think Beto was there before me because that picture, he's in it and I'm not in it. I remember this day very well because they were all taking the picture and I'm like, oh, cool, like picture time. And they're like, no, you weren't in the unit yet. And I was like, okay.
You're like, I'm just gonna squeeze myself in here. No big deal.
Well, they did take a picture. They took a picture with me and one without me, and this other guy called Torres, who was actually played by our second assistant director, who's called Hugo Baus, who I think is uncredited. But they ended up using that picture, so I guess they went with the storyline that I've been there less time. Um, but yeah, I've been there. I guess I've been there more time than Beto, but I was there more time as an informant than before I joined the unit as a police officer.
Archie is jokingly called a gringo by the unit and teased and judged for his foreign appearance by the team and by others. And while most of it is in good fun, do these comments start to affect and bother Archie?
I don't think so. I mean, because there's this also like camaraderie that whenever you can make fun of someone, at least in Mexico or in Latin America, it's sort of as like a term of endearment, um like my friends in real life call me leche, which is literally milk because I'm like a white Mexican. So it's like and it's all done with like a lot of like without malice, it's not like someone bullying you, but it's someone like joking with you and like poking fun of you. We call it carrilla here. But that's sort of to tell you like we're part of the same pack and we can like sort of we can joke with each other because we know we can take it.
But Mr. Armando,
Um,
how about those comments? He kept making these offhand comments about redheads and Archie's face,
yeah.
and you could sense that I mean, there it was kind of starting to bother him a little.
Yeah, I mean, well, those were very surreal days of filming, because Don Armando was played by Damián Alcázar, who's probably like one of the most famous Mexican actors of all time, at least of my lifetime. He's older now. He's 71, 72, I think. So it was literally like acting with a living legend. Um, And I had to keep a straight face because this guy is like just attacking me and he doesn't like my face or anything about me. So I have to also be like proving myself to him and being like, no, you know what? Like I'm Mexican just like you, sir, and like all these things. Um, so it was a crazy couple of days. At the end of the day, I win the character over. Like he throws me a beer, which is really nice. Um, but yeah, doing that, it was really hard not to like just chuckle or smile just from like how crazy the whole situation was.
It was really neat that he made an appearance in the show, and like I don't watch a lot of like Mexican productions, but I recognize him because he was in a movie Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, which
Yes, he was.
which
Yes, he
was
was.
like a kind of a more American movie, so that was really cool. Can you expand upon Archie's connection with and attraction towards Emma and how it grows over the season?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always very tough for me um to watch myself or what a character that I'm playing be completely nervous and like a mess when approaching like a romantic interest. Because I feel like, no, don't do that. Like I feel like I'm like judging myself or I'm telling myself like, come on, man, like be a little more smooth. Like, why are you? But at the end of the day, I mean, that's sort of what Archie would have done. Like that's sort of how he would react when in the presence of like Emma, who's beautiful and she's also like super talented. And they share a lot of like similarities He sort of sees himself a little bit in her, seeing how like being an informant sort of shows him a different life that he has a big connection with that. So I think more than like the physical connection that they have, I think it's more like emotional, sort of more like life connection, which is really nice because it sort of turns into this like very nice thing that they like sort of care for each other. Um, when Archie really doesn't have anyone in his life that he has that sort of connection with.
I love that character, and I'm sure he also admires like her strength, and she's also spontaneous. She has a good shot as well at the shooting range. And you mentioned the kind of emotional connection. They talk about both leaving home at age 15.
Mhm.
Then there's a decision that you alluded to earlier on. So tell me about that decision to take MDMA with Emma in episode 5 against his better judgment.
Yeah, I can't remember because I think in one of the scripts originally they had left it like a little open, like you didn't know if he had taken or not. And then in one of the last versions that we shot, there was actually um like they put it in there. I think at one moment it was supposed to be Coke, I think. And then they said like, no, I think it's a little too intense for him to like do a bump with her. Like it's more realistic that he would like do a little bit of MDMA sort of just to like um I don't know, to I feel he feels like a little responsible to like that he has to do it. Um but it ends up being a decision that costs him dearly. And I mean, everybody makes mistakes, and I think one of the great things of a good series and a good scripts is when the characters make mistakes, and when you as an actor can understand where that mistake comes from and sort of try not to judge it too hard and try just to like see what position you would be in that would make you make the same mistake. So that's sort of how I approach it. Just like I'm like this moment that I'm like everything's going so well, everything's so perfect, everything's like sparks are flying. It's like why not? And I guess that why not ends up not being very good.
It's one of those things where I completely understand where his character's coming from. Like it's not him not wanting to maybe like spoil the night, or maybe he thinks if I do it, she'll think of me more poorly or something like that, because they're just starting to get to know each other at that time. Later on, Archie is kidnapped, injured, and left for dead by one of their fugitives, Leroy Chapman. Can you take me through the filming of those scenes and how you prepared physically, emotionally, and with that dialogue?
Yeah, I mean I think that was the stunt I most rehearsed out of all of the ones we did. Because I was really nervous of that scene because that was they wanted to actually do a oneer and have it be a like continuous take. And I was so nervous. I was like, I can't do that. I can't. I need cuts. I'm like, but they're like, no, no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna rehearse it. You're gonna be fine. So the actor Dean Jagger, he's English, so he couldn't come till like I think 2 weeks before or something like that. So I didn't have a lot of rehearsals with him. I mean, we must have had like maybe 4 or 5 rehearsals, but I had a bunch of other rehearsals with the stunts. So they would sort of guide me through the actions and what they envisioned and everything. But obviously, all of that changes because you're not doing with the person who you're actually gonna do the scene with. So that was nerve-wracking because I had done like, I don't know, 10 rehearsals. And then when the day comes, Dean arrives and he's like, no, let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. But I was already like so focused on like doing this other movement. And that filming was intense. It was also we filmed the whole episode 8 is in the desert, or well, half of it's in the desert. And the end of episode 7, I believe. 7 and 8, yeah. So the way the shooting schedule worked was I shot on Monday and then I didn't shoot until Friday because from Tuesday to Thursday, everyone was looking for me. So it was even more nerve-wracking because the first day I shot, like when they find me and like me waking up and all that stuff, and I had to wait 3 days without rehearsing or anything till I shot that action scene. So it was intense, but at the end of the day, it was super rewarding. The director Jimena Montemayor, who worked on that episode, was amazing. Um, and yeah, and I until the day I finally saw the scene, I was still nervous. So I can finally let that go now that it's out in the world.
I mean, it was so tense and like scary, especially like, not just the choreo, but you're filming in the dark at night. So that also added this extra element to it.
And with dust, and I had like lights flashing in my eyes. It was intense.
Well, it did come together really well. So you have a lot to be proud of for all of
Oh,
that
thank you,
work.
Chloe. Thank you. Yeah, I think it looks cool. I think it looks cool.
How would you say that specific traumatic event changed Archie?
Getting left in the desert for dead. I mean, I think one of the things that most moved me when I was reading the scripts as well as when I saw the final episode was how much all these all these people that are in the like unit with me, how much they actually care for me and how much they like it was like very moving that like I saw them like, and they're also all my friends, like we're all friends now. So like that was really special to like sort of see how your friends have your back, you know? And no matter what, like even if you're left for dead with a knife wound on your arm, they're gonna find you, you know? And I think what that sort of solidified more my relationship with everyone else at the office, because at the office at the it's not an office at the here at the office, no, on the at the police squad, a squad, I think you can call it, a battalion. No, it's not a battalion, but anyways, I think that it moved Archie in a way that made him know that his friends are solid.
And when he kind of wakes up and you see Kree like apologizing to him, and he's not someone to, break down and shed
Poor
tears. So
guy.
so I loved like, those kind of moments where they see each other for that first time. He is forced to revisit his past in episode 9, as he kind of mentioned with Quiha, his kind of former father figure, having to separate a family whose story also had similarities to his own. So facing his own past and balancing his morals with the law and his own work, it can't be easy. Would you agree? Like, what is he kind of struggling with, especially in that episode?
Yeah, I think anyone who comes from sort of a tormented past or from a past they're not proud of, it's hard to go back to it, regardless of what it is. Um, but I think life always has these like lessons that when you're trying to run away from something or you're trying to hide something or put it in a drawer and never see it again, is especially when it comes back and haunts you. Um, so I think that's sort of a moment of like reckoning for Archie to sort of see that he can't run away from his past. His past is a part of him, and that's who makes him who he is as a person. And everything, like not just him meeting up with Kuika, but also the family and like seeing a sort of similar situation that he had with the kids and sort of how that happens all the time. And I think there's a moment there that maybe Archie doesn't feel that alone, you know, that he feels like, yeah, I mean, that's my life, but that's a lot of other people's lives as well.
And when he is there with Camilla, like he kind of seriously considered letting the family escape, which I think would have been another layer had that actually happened. So it's good that he did have Camilla there because there would have maybe been some more kind of consequences should he have
Yeah,
let them go.
for sure. And I think he might have. I think there's also this interesting thing about playing cops and playing characters that are flawed is that no one's perfect. You know, even Temo in the first episode that he tells nobody about that he has Terry Davis and all this stuff. It's not that he's a bad person or that he's doing something wrong, but there's constantly things in these characters' lives that question their moral fiber and also I mean, they let them make mistakes and then they let them learn from the mistakes and sort of heal from them and make better decisions, sort of. And I think even with the criminals, like even the criminals have a lot of these times have this like sort of duality that you're like, okay, I mean, they're doing something wrong against the law, but the reasons why they're doing it, I mean, you kind of agree with some of it, you know, like the one that comes to mind is sort of the one in the first episode as well that this woman Alice Wells I think her name is in order to protect her daughter um kills this guy or well I don't know if he kills him or sends a dog to attack him or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was the dog, yeah, who bit.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
was
he
for
bit
her
off
daughter, like you
exactly,
mentioned,
but exactly.
she was wrong, like her daughter was wrong, so she was kind of getting, revenge for what had happened to her child.
Correct. So I think that's what makes this show so interesting and is that the cases are constantly questioning your own morality, the character's morality, and really thinking if they've done something wrong or not. I mean, there's some that are clearly villains, but others, I mean, also like the two girls, the Saki girls that are sort of like based on like the bling ring sort of that they steal from the rich and then they like sell it cheaper to like girls in Mexico that maybe can't afford it. You know, like there's this like Robin Hood aspect to them, but they're still stealing. So there's a lot of nuance to all the characters, which I mean credit to the writers that they were able to like fictionize all these characters that had a lot of layers and a lot of depth and a lot of contradictions.
It's essentially not all black and white. Like there's that gray area. One of my favorite scenes, Myra told me how honest and vulnerable it was to film your episode 10 scene together in Archie's home. So how was that moment for you finding those rock bottom emotions?
Oh man, I was kind of going through a rock bottom moment in my personal life that day. And it's sort of weird how sometimes life imitates art and art imitates life as well. It's happened to me only a handful of times that the situation that the character is living is exactly the situation you're living. You know, like feelings of like guilt, remorse, um, being completely fatalistic that like my life's completely over. Like I screwed everything up. So that scene, it was so funny because the director of that episode, Alonso Alvarez, and I and Mayra, we never understood that scene. We never really understood like why this scene existed, you know? And we shot a bunch of other stuff of Archie in his house alone, like drinking. We had this really cool shot of like me lying down on a bed, sort of like BoJack Horseman, like going around the apartment. The apartment was actually they built it for it to be a certain height so that this like gimbal could like move across the whole thing. And that didn't make the cut. But this scene, for some reason, the one that we never found what the sense of it was dramatically, ended up being such a dramatic scene and such an important scene for all of us. It ended up being like one of Alonso's favorite scenes in the episode. And I think it was also a very nice moment that Mayra and I like actually connected on a more personal level. And again, there's like these moments that you're no longer a character talking to another character, you're just a person with another person, and you're just both living presently in the moment. And I think that's what everybody chases, that sort of magic moment.
I'm sorry to hear you were going through a lot during that
I
time,
mean,
but
peaks and
it
valleys,
came
Chloe, it happens.
it came out as such a nice scene, and you can see how much the characters care for each other on a human level, and I think like hopefully kind of solidified that bond between the cast members as well. Most of the unit knows or might guess that Archie has something going on with Emma, but why does he kind of hide it and keep that relationship from them?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a number of reasons. I mean, one of them is because they obviously work together, so they're, I mean, you can't sort of um say any of that unless it becomes something more serious. Um, and it's also, I think, a thing that maybe Archie doesn't want to feel judged, and he also doesn't want to um, like say like it was Emma's fault, because then in that case, it's like you're putting all the pressure on the other character and saying it's her fault when it was clearly my decision. So I think that's one of the reasons why he like decides to keep it a little more private so that people don't assume that she's like a bad influence on him. Um, so yeah, so I think that a lot of these things that these characters have are always kept very personal, but at the end of the day, we know each other so well that everybody knows exactly what the other person is going through. So even like if someone sees like someone act a certain way with someone or get receive a text message, like we know who wrote that text message, because we already know each other so well. Like we know where everybody's gonna be at. I mean, I know where Gloria's gonna be on a Tuesday night. She's gonna be like at her mom's house with her kid. Or I know Nico is gonna be on Thursdays. He has his daughter, so he's gonna be with her. So I'm not gonna bother him. So there's these things that we know about each other from the scripts and also from our character work that we did that and also as people like from like our group chats we would always be like, hey, where are you, like, hey, is everything okay, like if we went out like partying one day or whatever, we would be like, everybody write like to the group that you like arrived home and that everyone's safe. So that like camaraderie is like, I think, very evident in the group as well, in the squad.
Yeah, I like that with them. A lot of things can kind of go left unsaid, but you kind of, like you said, know everyone's kind of nuances and routines. Later in that episode, he shoots and kills Conrad to save Emma. How critical of a moment and decision was that for Archie, keeping
That's
in
a good
mind
shot, right? That was a good shot.
it was, I mean, it was a single shot needed,
Bullseye.
right? How was that for Archie, like that decision, keeping in mind his current suspension at the time?
Yeah, I mean, man, that was tough. Again, well, these things that like sort of when you're shooting imitates like what you're living. That was like a week shoot or like 3 day, 4 day shoot to like get that sort of scene down. And Archie shows up at the very end. But since they wanted to do it one shot as well, um, I had to be there the entire time just waiting for that final moment when I shoot him. So it was like nerve-wracking because I was like, oh man, like I was there for 3 days without filming and just watching like my friends. And then like watching Emma, because she was having like a bunch of back trouble. I think she had gotten like an operation or something, so she was in a lot of pain. So like watching her like struggle and then them struggle and then the count and then everything was like such a and then finally the final day when I shoot Conrad was such a relief because A, it was over. Like that was the end of that like week, which was so intense. And it was like a relief, like, oh, okay, we're done with this, like we can move past him. Also, Conrad, I mean, Cameron Diaz is such a fantastic actor because he makes this guy so despicable. Like you detest him. So also like you're like, please, just someone just shoot him, and then just finally it's like boom, bye bye.
And I mean, he also got to save his girl at the same time, aside from
I
the fact
mean,
that no
two for
one
one.
wanted Conrad to stick around. But like you mentioned, he did such a good job doing like being so despicable, like just the way he talked as well. Like everything he said is just like, can you can you leave now? But that's what kind of makes a good kind of villain character.
For sure.
And of course, Kree changes guns with Archie to protect him. So again, his team always having his back. The big episode 12 shootout, how was that to film with all of the action and framing in that space?
Oh, that was super fun. That was, I don't, it wasn't the last week, but I think it was the second to last week shooting. Um, and that was great because there comes a point after you're doing so much action that your body sort of starts reacting better. I mean, just like with anything, no? If you're training for a sport or any physical activity, after the training, it's sort of like you just go into like autopilot. And you can really have fun with it and start playing around. Harold and I, Nico, we had a couple of days that it was just the two of us, and we were just having so much like because we were blocking it out, and we were just like, okay, then right here we're gonna do like a bad boys like back to back, and then we go around like with the guns, and then like you shoot one over here, I shoot one over there, then I'm like duck and I shoot. So it was like so much fun, like doing that with like Adrian, the director and showrunner, and like all the stunts and I mean, it was just so fun. Like that was really the culmination of not only the series, but also of like all our hard work, all the 6 months. That was like, okay, finally here we can, and they made us look really good. Like that editing, we like every one of them is like a headshot, and it's like hell yeah, like that looks cool. And it was funny because we saw that episode together. We all the Gringo Hunters got together to watch. I don't know if it was the last two episodes or the last episode, but we definitely saw the last one together. And we were having so much fun, like just laughing and like remembering things and being like, oh yeah, I remember that and oh no way, oh you got another one. Like it was just a great way to close things out.
I like that you can laugh about it after because I mean, as characters, it was a very like intense moment. They
Yeah,
almost said their goodbyes to each other. They were like, "Oh,
yeah,
it's been
yeah,
so nice
yeah.
serving with you, working alongside you." Until, of course, the team comes and rescues them. At the end of the episode, like you mentioned, it does appear that Archie has maybe been reinstated as the whole unit is in the office space. So, in your opinion, like off screen, do you think he just received a warning? Like, did he successfully appeal? How was he able to kind of join the team again?
I mean, I hope so. I hope they take me back because if not, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna. If there's a season two and I'm not in it, I'm gonna be very sad. No, but yeah, I think sort of like the cloud that Ortega had over everyone and like sort of the power, because obviously all the events that happened in episode 9 and 10 to sort of take me out, take Nico out, and sort of break our team apart. They even send this other guy, Lobato, they send him to like sort of babysit them in episode 11 to sort of like, I don't know, pretty much break the team apart, have them not trust each other, not trusting themselves. So once he's out of the picture, I think sort of everything returns back to normal. Um, and I think, I mean, it's assumed that Archie's gonna come back and he's already there. And maybe if like the new boss comes in, then explain the situation. But for now, at least, I think he's back on the team unless the writers have something else in mind. But
You're like, please, no, I need
please
I
no.
need to be in the second season. But like you mentioned, same with Nico, it was almost like this hold over them, and there was corruption involved. So maybe once, Ortega and his death squad are kind of out of the picture, there would be more hope for them for things to go smoothly. You mentioned undergoing specific training, like with the guns and everything. So can you tell me about that and what you underwent, like whether did it include a lot of law enforcement training as well?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I had already done um, another two projects that I had worked with firearms. One of them was a Western, so that was very different guns. It was like um, early 19th century. Well, no, like early 20th century, late, no, even before, like 1860-ish. So they still had the muskets with all the stuff, and I think the revolver had just come out. Please don't quote me on any of this historical gun stuff because I'm obviously not an expert. But I had used like sort of those like more period piece guns. And then in another project, I also used like machine guns and stuff. So I already had some experience. This one was the sort of the one that was most tactical, that we had to sort of have this training that you could tell that there was some like police background involved. Um, and honestly, we had very little time. We had like maybe a month before to like sort of get all that training. But Harold Torres and Hector Kotsifakis, Nico and Kri, they've done a bunch of action stuff. They've played a lot of cops. So they had previous experience as well. So we sort of leaned a little bit, or at least me, I leaned on like being like, okay, he's doing it like this. I'm going to do it like that because that looks cool, you know? So, so again, it was like sort of us having each other's backs and just like Harold would have my back with that. Since I was the one who spoke most English, they would ask me like something like, "How do you say this in English?" So I'd be like, "Well, like this or like this or like that." So it was cool because we like we had these different sets of skills that in real life we helped each other out as a team, so that we all looked like we knew what the hell we were doing.
That's the best part. You're kind of just like maybe you take a peek over when you're filming, like you're like, okay, I need to like make sure that the gun is in this position or something like that. But hey, like teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly.
How was it working opposite Paulina as Emma? How was she as a person and a scene partner, considering you also shared more intimate scenes?
She was great. I mean, I had met her before. We have some friends in common. We had never worked together. Um, but it was great. I mean, she's a trooper. I mean, she had a lot of back issues. She was going through a lot of like health things and was a lot of pain. And she would pull through, do the action scenes, and always give it her all. And she's amazing. I mean, she's from Colombia too. I have a weakness for Colombian women, because their accent is just so like it's beautiful, you know. It sounds like they're like reciting poetry to you all the time. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was just a joy to work with her. And with everyone. I mean, honestly, this was one of those special projects that there was nobody who like stuck out, you know, nobody that you said like, no, they shouldn't be here. They've got a weird vibe, or here comes another like star. Like everyone was so on the same like level. We were all super happy to be there. And and that made it feel like a really nice family, you know? And to this day, I mean, I see all of the Gringo Hunters. We have our monthly or bi-monthly hangouts, or we have like barbecues. Like we know all our lives. You know, it's really nice. It's very rare that that happens in any project. It's usually like you keep maybe one or two people from a shoot, and to have like a whole new family of friends is really quite special.
I was told about the barbecues that the cast has by some of your co-stars, and they said it's always so nice to get together, even though you know you finished filming sometime last year now, and you know fingers crossed that you get to revisit and shoot together again. Do you have a favorite behind the scenes memory from set that you can share?
Um, wow. Just I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, everything was just really fun. I mean, well, yeah, that scene we talked about with Maida, that one was particularly something that sort of stuck with me. But we were filming a lot in Tijuana as well, which is where everything takes place. And I mean, we had so much fun also getting to know Tijuana and getting to know like it has such a cool scene, like all the little bars, and it has like a huge like vinyl scene as well. And like really cool clothes and the food, as I mentioned before. So like living that with everybody, and it's always fun when you shoot on location and everyone goes to a hotel because it's sort of like summer camp and everyone wants to go out. Like even if you're exhausted and you just had like the longest day shooting and you're gonna see this person again in 10 hours, you're like, oh, let's just go out a little and get to know Tijuana and whatever, like I don't know. I think that getting to know Tijuana, Ensenada, and Valle Guadalupe, we had one day that was really awesome that we went to the Valle with one of the assistant directors, and he took us around like a culinary tour to just drink wine and like eat delicious food. I think we had like 4 meals that day, like just like we were stuffed, but everything was so delicious, and we just kept eating and drinking, and it was like and the next day it's like we got to shoot and like the next day and it was like who cares? Like we're having the best time. And the next day all of us were perfect, like because we were in such a rush of being there. It was just really nice. So I think that's one of the things I would most look forward to in a second season would be going back to Tijuana and like revisiting all the places that we found there that we love.
It's so nice when you can get kind of introduced to a community through something like this, just filming in that area. Is there anything you learned about yourself by working on this project? With the talented cast and creative team, but also getting to embody this character for one season.
Wow, that's a tough question, Chloe. I don't know if I can answer it. If I learned something about myself, I guess I have learned a lot of things about myself. I don't know. I think I have to go to therapy for that one and really dig deep to see what I learned from myself. I mean, one of the things, I don't know if it's a lesson learned, but it's definitely one of the longest shoots I've been on, and I survived. So there's this fear that is always in your head when you tackle a new project. That's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it. Like I'm not gonna hold an accent for 6 months. I'm not gonna be able to run for 6 months, like do action, do all these cases, learn so many lines. Like there's like, all these pressures that you constantly put on yourself. And I guess the biggest thing was that like all of that was just like a figment of my own pressure as a insecure actor, I guess. Because you can do anything, really. I mean, not anything, but if you put your mind to it, they're like really the possibilities are endless. And I guess it taught me to challenge myself more and to trust myself more. Um, but then I start a new project, and then it's the whole thing all over again. And I'm like, oh no, here it comes again. Like the voices in my head telling me I can't do it. So I learned it, but then I forgot about it as soon as I did something else.
I think you kind of need to just like, keep these wins with you because it shows that you are capable of doing a hard project, getting through tough scenes and kind of balancing that with what's going on in personal life as well. So I think you need to give yourself a pat on the back for that one.
Barely, barely.
The series does create a lot of conversations about economic and political interests, corruption, cultural stereotypes. What do you hope viewers take away from season one of The Gringo Hunters?
Um, I think to break certain stereotypes because I mean, in the US and in Mexico, I think we have all this like generational stereotype of good guys, bad guys, who the criminals are and who the good guys are. And I think that that narrative is shifting in real life a little bit. I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I think that this idea of the like bad hombres that like Trump sort of put out there it's created this like xenophobia against Mexican and Latin American people of Latin American heritage that live in the US, and sort of this idea that like a lot of them are criminals, you know? And I think what the Gringo Hunters, one of the things it shows is that there's criminals on the other side too. And there's a lot of good guys on the other side too. So it sort of switches that sort of that narrative that we've been sold of who good guys and bad guys are, which I think is important to do because if not, we're stuck believing people are one way and putting people in boxes when is not the case. And the other one, I think also here in Mexico and worldwide, I mean, maybe not in Canada, maybe police in Canada are nice, right? Or no, not really, more or less. But there's this like global sort of dissatisfaction with the police lately. Um, and I mean, with due reason, there's been like some horrible things that have happened um, at the hands of police officers, sort of overstepping their justice and sort of just taking situations into their own hands that they shouldn't and breaking the law themselves. But there was sort of this idea that like all cops are terrible, you know, like all cops are bastards, even was like the whole. And I think another, going back to your previous question of one of the lessons I learned as well, is to not judge all cops either, to know that there are also certain police officers that are there because they want to dedicate their life to bring justice. And they actually believe in the law and they believe in sort of solving cases and in getting criminals behind bars that deserve to be behind bars. You know, there's like this misconception and this like cliche we have in these last 5 years about the police that I think also needs to be broken down. So I think that's sort of those are the two main themes um I think people should take out of the Gringo Hunters, apart from it also being a super fun series that has really interesting characters and it's a fun ride and I don't know. This had never happened to me that so many people have written to me from all over the world, friends in live in Austria or in Italy that are watching the series and they binge it in like 2 days. And they're like, this is really cool. I've never seen something like this done in Mexico. So I think it's also like, apart from all the political implications that obviously any piece of art is going to have, it's also an enjoyable show. So yeah, watch it, guys.
Yes, please watch it. I love what you said, how, aside from being, fun, like it does ask questions and it asks questions, about, yourselves as actors and, questioning a lot of things that are put out there in the media. And there are honest, good cops out there, which I think is a message to take from the law enforcement side as well. If renewed for a second season, what do you hope to explore with Archie, and are there any specific characters you'd like to see him interact with more?
Um, well, I think it would be interesting. I don't know. I always had this need to like for Archie. I just saw this movie, Secrets and Lies by Mike Lee. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's basically about this black woman in her late 20s who her mother dies and she decides to seek out her biological mother because she was adopted, and she sort of forms this relationship with her mother. I mean, 28 years after she gave her up, right? It's an amazing movie because I mean, it's so human to want to seek out where you're from. That I think if there was a second season, I think it would be cool for Archie to sort of go on that journey. I think season 2 or 3 or 5, whatever. But I think personally that's something I would like. Um, and and I really like that this season I got to go to cases with pretty much all of the cast members. Like I had one with Camila, the one where we go with the family. Um, with Gri, we had the one with the neo-Nazis. with Beto. With Beto, we had the one with the yoga that we also went with Camila. With Harold, we when we were out, we had that. So it was like really cool to with Gloria. Did I have something with? Oh yeah, when we go with Miss Molly, that I pretend to be like this gringo pervert, and she's like a dancer looking for work. So it was cool that like with every single one of the cast members, I got to do something, and everyone got to like it was like a mixed match situation. So I just like for that to continue. Like it'd be horrible if it was like, oh no, now you're gonna do everything with Kri. I love Kri, but I want to explore other people. I want to see other people, Kri.
You're like, I love you, Hector, but like I like to we see that's one of the things I really liked about the show because we see so many where you have a distinct partner and there's nothing wrong with that, but like with a show like this, you can kind of go on like missions with a lot of different people and be able to back each other up. We briefly touched upon this as we round things out. Do you have any upcoming projects that you can share? So can you plug your film coming out again later this year?
Yes, well, that one, History of Love and War. I think they're changing the title. I'm not sure yet. I don't think I can officially say anything about that. I'm also shooting a movie right now, another Netflix movie, which you'll be able to check out worldwide as well. I don't know when, but it's about the hurricane Otis that hit Acapulco 3 years ago that devastated the city. And it's this amazing, amazing script. It's these two brothers that are sort of stuck in this like rich man's yacht, and it's sort of this whole family drama while this devastating tragedy that changed Mexico forever is happening sort of in the backdrop. Um, so that's amazing, and I can talk about that because it's already been announced. So yeah, so that's very exciting. And everything else I can't talk about yet, but hopefully when it comes out, you'll watch it and I'll be able to come back here and talk about that.
Definitely. And is there a title for the Netflix movie?
I think it's called right now tentatively Contra el Huracán, which I think means like against the hurricane. Or at least that's a title that was announced. So
It could change between
yeah,
now and
more because I get
release.
in trouble. And then people are like, why'd you say that? And I'm like, I'm just literally,
Tentative. You
it's
put it
like it's
out
on the
there.
internet, so I can say it.
That's fantastic. Well, so excited to see what's up next for you. I have one more question, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Oh man, that's a good question. I really think I'm more inclined to go towards Rocky Road because that's just sort of how I feel my life is sometimes. But I identify more with Cherry Garcia because Garcia is really cool, and I love rock and roll. I love like 60s psychedelia. So can I have a scoop of each? A scoop of Cherry Garcia and Rocky Road. Boom.
I love it. That was such a great way to end things off. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chloe.
Of course, for all those watching, make sure to catch Andrew in the Gringo Hunters. Season 1 is out now on Netflix, and we will see you next time.